À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, top. Allumage Vulcain. Allumage EAP, décollage. Les paramètres bord sont normaux.
So the arms swung back as scheduled. You saw it there. We had ignition, and you saw Ariane 5 begin her mission, rising off the ground here in French Guiana with a lot of fire. Right on time, at little past the original launch window, because we had the hold in the countdown. But we're fine now. The DDO says everything is okay on board with our two passengers, Eutelsat 8 West B and Intelsat 34. We are underway. The boosters providing over 90% of the thrust, propelling the launcher along its trajectory at ever higher velocity, getting her away from the pull of the Earth. And there's a lot to pull. Ariane's weight at liftoff, about 775 tons. Most of that's fuel. She's burning 5 tons of fuel every second, 2.5 tons in each booster, and the core stage burning another 300 kilos per second. Ariane now following the flight program in the onboard computer, which gives all the commands, including stage separations. We'll soon begin to see those. We are in the first of 4 flight phases. The first 3 are powered. The last is not. We'll describe each in turn so you can follow Ariane as she heads across the Atlantic. Right now, the first flight phase, the Vulcan engine and the 2 boosters are burning. The boosters will burn their propellant in just under 2.5 minutes, about 20 seconds to go, and they'll be the first we jettison. You'll hear the DDO call out that milestone too. We're heading east over the Atlantic. The decision to build the site here in French Guiana made in the 60s when France wanted a new base, in part for its opening on the water, to allow for launches over uninhabited areas. On the animation, you saw the separation of the booster, so we've had that right on time. The confirmation by the DDO, right on time at about 79 kilometers up. You see what that looks like. The other booster out of camera range on the left. The onboard computer detects that there is no more fuel in the tanks. Nice shot of Ariane rising. The dot of light is the core stage still burning. As they have no more propellant to burn, the thrust decreases and the computer senses the drop in acceleration. Coming up next on separation of the fairing, you see the logos there that's placed there by the customers. That's something of a tradition. We said 79 kilometers altitude, roughly. You can see on the bottom left is our altitude, on the right is our speed. Sometimes the figure is not exactly what you see in the screen. That's normal. That's due to a slight delay or lag in the telemetry coming in here. We've had separation of the fairing right on time. You see Eutelsat exposed to the elements there. Separation of the fairing given by 2 pyrotechnic systems, one horizontal and one vertical. These are cords that actually remove the fairing by a small contained explosion. We emphasize it's controlled, so there's no threat to the vehicle. We can separate the fairing now because we're out of the dense layers of the atmosphere at over 100 kilometers up. You can see what the jettison of the fairing looks like. There's another half on the right side out of camera range. Above 100 kilometers, there's neither friction nor heating, which could disturb the passengers. Liftoff's very noisy, and a noisy affair which shakes the launcher up. We could also discard any dead weight when possible to maximize the launcher's operation. We can do that now. The fairing weighs over 2 tons. We are in the second powered flight phase. The boosters have done their work. Only the single engine burning now. It'll burn for about 9 minutes in all. Our speed is important at this moment, and that's the role of the main stage. Its cryogenic propellant system is not only highly efficient, but provides a push that can last for a long time, like 9 minutes. There are different propulsion systems on the Ariane 5. Cryogenics, as used in the main stage, are more efficient than solid propellant, which is used in the boosters. Basically, solids are for getting us off the ground, away from the pull of the Earth. Cryogenics for more precision orienting of the vehicle, and they can allow for a stage to be reignited in another version of Ariane. We're going to go to a replay of the liftoff that happened just 5 minutes ago, so you can relive those exciting moments. Coming up, Ariane 5 is the heavy lift launcher. The other two members of the family, Soyuz, lifts middle-sized payloads, 2 and 3 tons, and Vega, the light lift vehicle, for 1-ton missions. Here's the replay. You can see from another angle. It's always exciting to live these moments of liftoff. We have cameras at several of the half-dozen observation sites that are stationed across the base. There's another one. It's a big one. It's a big base, 750 square kilometers, about the size of the island of Martinique, our neighbor, if you know Martinique. And these observation sites furnish us with shots from different angles. People also line the beaches to watch the launch, where the view is also quite good. Here's another angle. The closest observation site is called Toucan, and many of the VIPs are out there now. Toucan is closest to the base, about 4 kilometers. Ariane 5's liftoff there lights up the whole place. I don't know if you've ever seen it from there, but it's really something to watch. We should have more replay shots, including from Toucan, at the end of the broadcast. Some figures. The 2 passengers tonight are the 164th and 165th satellites to be launched on an Ariane 5. They're also the 318th and 319th to go into geostationary transfer orbit. 2 minutes to go, roughly, in the lower stage burn. On the right is Eutelsat, exposed to the elements. Under that, the black bell-shaped structure, that's called the Silda. That's a carrying structure that allows us to lift a second passenger. And underneath the black Silda is our second passenger, Intelsat 34. Underneath that is the vehicle equipment bay, and the long tube is the first stage, whose engine will be cut off in about a minute, and the first stage will be separated shortly after that, and we'll be into the second half of the mission when the second stage is lit. Our radar and telemetry signal has been picked up by our first downrange tracking station. That's over the border in Brazil at a place called Natal. Natal will see the lower stage burnout and separation at 8 minutes and 51 seconds, as well as the upper stage ignition. All of Ariane's trajectory has been designed to be followed from the ground. The launcher is sending radar and telemetry back, and a network of stations keeps constant watch on the health of her systems. Telemetry is launch vehicle data, basically. Information on about 1,500 parameters now being collected and transmitted back to the ground stations every second. These include indicators of Ariane's health and performance, and they come from pressure and temperature sensors, which record all of her functions throughout the flight. There you saw the shut-off of the lower stage engine, and we'll have in a moment, there it is, the separation of the first stage, and there you saw the engine light up on the second stage. 3 commands given by the onboard computer in 12 seconds. The main stage will fall into the Atlantic. You can see that's what's happening above. Will fall off the coast of Africa. Up in space, all is well aboard Ariane 5. Our speed, as you can see, approaching 7 kilometers per second, and our altitude approaching 200 kilometers.